Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the hottest Golden Age comics for the week. We're going to start out with a really interesting one that actually is what I call the steal of the week, that was on this hot list a few weeks ago, and it was one of the most expensive books. So this is it's really funny to see it being the steal of the week. It is Superman number 17. This is from January of 1942. It is just an awesome cover with Hitler and Hirohito and Superman just dangling them. It's just a really great cover. It's also kind of the first appearance of the Fortress of Solitude. It's called the Secret Citadel in it, and it's kind of like a training facility for Superman in the comic. Now this was as I said, this was a steal of the week. It's a Joe Shuster cover. It was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $6,600. That sounds expensive, but when you compare it to what the previous record, which was only set last year, it sold for $9,980.72. So this is down quite a lot from that prior record. And this is not like a uncool book. It's a cool book. It's one that I think it was just somebody got a steal on it. It was a heritage auction sale. $6,600 is a really good price for this book in this grade. There are 201 copies of these on the census, and 172 are universal blue labels. So 6.5 for 6,600. That is a steal of the week for this one. So number 9 on the list is Batman number 15. This is from 1943, and this book is highly sought after because it has a couple cool things going for it. It is one with Batman using a machine gun on the cover. That is the big thing, because Batman is a character that we don't really associate with guns, and for him to be using a machine gun on the cover and have Robin like feeding the bullets into the machine gun, that is just so awesome. It's just too awesome. People go after this for that cover. And it's also interesting. Like, I actually read the issue because when I saw this notation for it, I was like, oh, really? So I read it in order to prepare for this video. It's supposedly a new costume for Batwoman. I'll put it up on the screen. You can see it's a new costume. Not really much different from her costume that she had in Batman 3, which is where she first shows this cat mask, but it is a slight progression towards what her costume would eventually be. So that's the other key feature about this book. It is the new Catwoman costume, but not really that great. It's still a silly cat mask, but yeah, it is a Jack Burnley cover, and this was a 7.5 that came up for sale on eBay, and it sold for $5,700. Now this is a record. It's not a super strong record, but it is a record. The previous record for this book was set back in October of 2021 for $5,020. So it is up a couple $100 from the prior record. And it's a cool book. As I said, it's a classic cover with Batman using machine gun. So there are 220 of these on the census, and there's 179 that are universal blue labels. The next book, number 8 on the list, is Clairvoyant number 4. This is from 1947. It is a great bondage cover, and it also has a nudity panel. So if you have a copy, look inside. Maybe there's some nudity. So just a fun book. But is one that has a really great cover that people go after for this book. It's a fairly rare book. Usually I mention the census at the end, but this book, there's only 29 on the census, and 28 are universal blue labels. This was a 6.0 that sold, and it sold for $1,000. Now, the prior record for this book was set back in March of 2022 for $624. So this is up quite a lot from that prior record. However, and the reason it's lower on the list, so you probably wonder why, it's a pretty significant sale compared to the prior sale. Well, actually, in some ways, this book is down. And the reason I say that is there was a 5.0 that sold in February of this year, actually, for $1,320. Now, this was an eBay, just like buy it now price. So probably they didn't see the 5.0 had sold for $1,300. So so they just listed it based on the 6.0 sale. And I think somebody got a bit of a steal on this one too, based on the prices. Now, I bought this book myself. Actually, I have a 5.0 copy as well that I paid $600 for. So, this is a strong sale. It's a new record, but it is a little bit down if you compare it to the prior 5.0 sale. So just something a little interesting about that one. Number 7 on the list is Zip Comics number 22. This is MLJ comic, which, this one was kind of interesting because Zip Comics were where Archie kind of would do like, again, more superhero related stuff, similar to Pep Comics. They were, at the time, they were really into superheroes. Later on, though, in Zip, you get introduction of some of their classic characters like Ginger. I think Reggie also makes his appearance in Zip. Mr. Weatherby, I think, also as well. So a bunch of characters make their appearances in Zip. But at this time, in 1942, when this book came out, it was it was a superhero cover. And this is a classic cover. You got the V on the cover for victory, and it's like a burning city, and you got this Nazi skeleton that's being attacked. It's just a really cool cover. And that's what people seek in this one, because it is that Nazi cover. Now, this was a 2.0 sold, and it, these Zip Comics are quite hard to find. And this was a 2.0 that sold for $5,040. This is a record compared to the 2021 sale that was $4,750. So fairly strong sale, but up about 10%. It's a Irv Norwich cover, for those who like knowing who the cover artist is. And to give you a sense of how hard these ones are to find, there's only 19 on the census, and 15 are blue labels. So for a 2.0 blue label to come up is actually quite rare. So somebody must have just jumped on this one. It was a heritage auction, and it was a very strong sale. Number 6 on the list is Action Comics number 36. This is from December of 1941. It's a Fred Ray cover, and it's a robot cover. It's a great classic robot cover with Superman punching a couple of robots, and just people love the robot covers. So, and it has the classic kind of style robots as well. So great book. This one was a 6.0 that came up for auction on Heritage. It sold for $2,100, and which is actually slightly down, slightly. I mean, really slight, but it just confirms that this is a strong book. So the prior sale was set back in November of 2022, and it sold for $2,160. So it's down $60. So really, I feel like this is more just a confirmation of that $2,100 price, which is up significantly to prior sales for this book. So, it's just really a confirmation that this is a strong book that people desire. There are 95 of these on the census, and 80 of them are universal blue labels. So just a strong sale for a classic cover. Number 5 on the list is a really interesting one. This is Captain Marvel Special Edition Comics number 1. Really long title, but it's from Fawcett, and it's from 1939, November of 1939, which is special because it actually came out before Captain Marvel Adventures. And this is the first time that Captain Marvel is used in the title of a comic. So it's really his first titled appearance, a comic appearance. Wiz 1 is Wiz, is not Captain Marvel. So this is Captain Marvel's first titled book. And it's also the first appearance of Dr. Alirog. Okay, Dr. Alirog is, if you spell Alirog backwards, it's gorilla. And Dr. Alirog is basically this gorilla that's super smart and kind of like Gorilla Grodd, actually, in many ways. Maybe a prototype for Gorilla Grodd. So just a cool character, and he makes his first appearance in this book. It is a CC Beck cover, and this was a restored one that sold, and it was a 5.5 that sold. And it's not like a slight restoration. It was a moderate restoration. Pieces were added, color touch, a whole bunch of things happened with this book. So it is a fairly restored book. And this was a strong sale. The previous record for a restored copy in this grade of 5.5 was set back in February of 2019 for $1,526. Now this was a $2,800 sale, so it's double almost that prior restored grade sale. Now just to give you a perspective of how strong of a sale this is, a blue label, a 4.5, which is only slightly lower grade, sold for $2,600 in April of this year. So this is actually above the 4.5 blue label. So this is a very, very strong sale. So $2,800 for a 5.5 restored book. I didn't write down the census count for this book, but it is a fairly rare book. I forget the census numbers for it, but I normally write that down. I didn't write it down this time. Okay, number 4 on the list is This Magazine is Haunted, number 11. Now this is from May of 1953. It's also by Fawcett. And Fawcett is not really known for pre-code horror, but this is a pre-code horror cover and comic. It is done by Sheldon Moldov and Bob Powell, the cover. And it just features like a hangman's noose cover with, the typical, there's sort of a trope of, the guy looking through the window and, potentially going to attack you. And then, this has a skeleton with a noose, a glowing noose. It just has like all these kind of classic pre-code horror elements to it, which makes it a very desirable cover. This Magazine is Haunted run has some pretty cool covers, like some decapitation and just some really great covers. Now this was a 7.5 that came up for auction on Heritage, and it sold for $2,040. This is a new record because there was no prior record. So it's a new record because of that fact. However, there was a sale for a 7.0 that sold back in 2012. So it's been a while since this book comes up. And it sold for $200 back then. So 10 times what the 7.0 sold for back in 2012. But take that whatever way you want, because it's 10 years. It makes a big difference in how much a book will go for. But there was a 6.5 that sold in 2018 for $640. So this is a very strong sale. It's up considerably to what other books in similar grades sold for. There are 30 on the census, and as I said, that's all universal blue labels. It just doesn't come up that often, so I think when somebody saw it, they just went after it, because it just doesn't come up that often. There hasn't been a sale of this book in this grade before, so pretty big deal. So that's number 4 on the list, and This Magazine is Haunted, number 11. Next is number 3, and this one I love. I love this book. Do I have it behind me? I thought maybe I did, but I don't. I actually have this book. This is Susie Comics number 51, And this is also another MLJ Archie comic from 1945. And it's a Al Fagley cover. And it's just a classic cover with the girl. She's like, looks like she's been blown up. She's obviously in a room that's blown up, where she's like, I think there might be a gas leak. Like, just a classic humor cover, good girl art cover as well. It is in the Susie run. It's kind of the most desirable of the books, yeah, it's a classic cover. This one's a 6.5 that came up for sale on Heritage, and it sold for $1,140. There are no prior records, so this is a new record for this grade. But to give you a sense of how much this is a strong sale, there was a 5.5 that sold back in 2020 for $500. And when I bought mine's a 3.0, I paid $200. So this is a really strong sale at $1,140. Just a really, really strong sale. There are 30 on the census of this book in any grade, any label. So, and that's, all of them are universal blue labels. So just a really strong sale for a classic good girl art cover. And another classic cover is number 2. This is Mr. Mystery, and it's number 12, I believe. And it is from Aragon Publishing. And this one from 1953, this one I always felt like it was one that Frederick Wortham had missed out. This is one that if he had seen this, he would have totally had it in the Seduction of the Innocent, because it is just a classic injury to eye cover. It's really like, it's a Bernard Bailey cover, and it's just like a zoom in on this thing about to poke a guy in the eye, a hot poker to the eye. And that was one of the things that Frederick Wortham would mention in his Seduction of the Innocent, that he really was bothered by, because he felt like, hey, this is something that kids might imitate from reading it in the comics, and therefore, a whole bunch of kids would be without eyes, I guess. I don't know what would happen, but it was definitely one where, should have been probably mentioned in the Seduction of the Innocent. So this was a big sale. This was a 3.0 that sold, and it sold for $6,356. That is massive for this book. The prior record for this book was set back in 2022 for $4,080. So this is up 50%, more than almost 55% from that prior record, and is just a big book. It was just a really great sale. There's 75 of these on the census, and 66 of them are universal blue labels. This was actually on eBay as best offer, and the offer that was accepted was the $6,356. I checked that through GPA. If you ever wonder, how do you check what the best offer price that was accepted is, go to GPA analysis, and they give you what the actual accepted price is. If you go to Go Collect, they'll show you the wrong price. They'll show you that they'll show the full price rather than the accepted offer. Just something to know. But it is definitely a cool book to see, sale, and I'm happy that I own a copy of this book, but in a much lower grade. The last book, number 1 on the list, is one that's been on this list before, I believe. It is Atomic War Comics number 1, and this is from Ace Publications from 1952, and it's just a classic atomic explosion cover. You get New York being blown up. I think actually last time I mentioned this book, I said it was Chicago. I totally messed that up. It is actually New York. New York getting blown up. They always blow up New York. I don't know why. If you go to Planet of the Apes, it's New York getting blown up. New York is just like a classic city that you got to blow up. I don't know. But this is a classic atomic explosion cover, and that's really the thing that's going for this book. People just love that atomic explosion cover. Maybe with the Oppenheimer movie, like these atomic explosion ones are going to be even more popular. But this was a big sale. It was a 3.5 that sold, and it sold for $774.99. I'll just round that to $775. But this was a big sale because the prior record to this was set back in March of 2022 for $380. So it's up 100%. So that's pretty big sale for Golden Age books. Golden Age books, as I said, many times you'll see like a 10% rate of return year to year. But to see it go up 100%, that is something special. There are 55 of these on the census, and 50 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So just a big sale. This book, I'm watching it. It's one that my good friend Bigby McFly, the comic book guy, or the comic guy, has a copy of, and I think he got it really cheaply. So I think he'll be smiling when he sees this sale. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. What did you think of this list? Did you have any of the books on this list? And please tell me in the comments below. And thanks again for watching. Bye for now.